More than 99% of the world's population are worse off now than they were at the start of the pandemic, according to the UK charity Oxfam. But the wealth of the world's 10 richest men has doubled. Now Oxfam is calling for a one-time tax on the billionaires to fund a number of causes, including vaccine production.
Since the pandemic erupted in March of 2020, a new billionaire has been minted every day. But a rising tide is not lifting all boats, because in that same period, 160 million people have fallen into poverty. These new numbers from the UK's Oxfam organization point to worsening inequality, and they are now calling for new policies to curb this kind of extreme wealth.
If one were to tax the 10 wealthiest people, the 10 billionaires, on the profits made during the pandemic at 99%, which is a very high amount, of course, we would be able to pay for vaccines for the whole world, have health systems for everyone. We would be able to also compensate for the damage of climate change and have policies that address gender-based violence. That, of course, is an example, but they will still be better off than at the beginning of the pandemic.
The numbers released by Oxfam show that the fortunes of the 10 richest men have doubled since the pandemic began. They say a one-time 99% tax on these 10 people alone could bring in $800 billion that could be used to expand vaccine production for the world's poorest, as well as fund other social programs.
Rob Watts from DW Business is looking into this story for us. Hi, Rob.
Hi.
So why have the world's 10 richest men gotten so much richer during the pandemic?
Well, you just have to think about who these men are, what businesses they run, and also then think about what we've been doing for the past 2 years. What we've been doing is we've been staying at home, we've been using our computers and our technology to communicate with one another, also to entertain ourselves, and also to order things, to have things brought to us. That's why the likes of Amazon's Jeff Bezos is on this list of 10 richest men who've seen their value double over the past few years. You've also got Mark Zuckerberg on there, the founders of Google, all these people who are involved with tech. It's been a very positive couple of years for the tech industry. But also, you've also got to look at the stock market over the past couple of years, which has been on an upward trend that still doesn't show any signs of stopping. And that's why you've got the likes of Warren Buffett, who've done very well out of the past couple of years. And they've reached the point where they're now worth, according to Oxfam, $1.5 trillion, which is the equivalent of what the lowest earning 3.1 billion people on the planet, it's almost half the planet, are earning. And it's that difference between the wealthiest and the poorest that Oxfam is particularly upset about.
Yeah, let's talk about that difference, because the poorest, Oxfam in that report said, have also gotten poorer in the last 2 years in particular. Why is that?
Yeah, and it's not just like the very poorest. Oxfam says that 99% of the global population has seen its income drop over the past couple of years. Now, why is that? Well, one of the key reasons is directly related to the pandemic, and it's the vaccine availability in different parts of the world. There's a complete gulf between, for example, developed nations where some people are getting their third, maybe their fourth jab already, and then you've got developing nations where people can't get hold of vaccines at all. That's causing a great deal of economic inequality, because economies where there are these vaccines have been able to reopen and people have started to get economically active once again. But in countries where the vaccines aren't there, they're facing longer-term restrictions and no obvious end to the pandemic. And not only is it causing differences between societies, but also within societies as well, because where vaccines are scarce, it's the richest people in those societies who are able to get hold of them.
So tell us about this Oxfam proposal to even things up.
Yeah, well, they've got various ideas, but perhaps the real sort of eye-catcher is this 99% one-off tax on those top 10 men. It says that money could be used to vaccinate everyone on the planet. It could also introduce healthcare reforms in some 80 countries, as well as tackling gender inequality in those same 80 countries, and also preparing them for climate change. So it says this money could be used in all sorts of ways and still leave these 10 men with, a good $8 billion to play with if they wanted to. Now, is that proposal ever going to happen? No, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, who's going to enforce it? But one of the other proposals is one that we have heard a lot during the course of the pandemic, certainly since the vaccine was invented, the vaccines were invented, and that is the idea of allowing anyone to make them. So taking away that intellectual property from the vaccine makers and making them more widely available.
Rob Watts from DW Business, thanks so much for bringing us that story.